In this video, I will outline 10 movies you never knew existed. If you like these types of videos and this type of content in general, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button down below and being a part of the community. So without further ado, I'm going to give you 10 films that you never knew existed before this video. I'm sure that you guys have heard of a few of these films, and that's fine. I want to start with one that people have heard of, but I feel like not enough people talk about it, and that is Denis Villeneuve's film Enemy. This movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Jake Gyllenhaal. It's perfect, right? Jake Gyllenhaal has his own doppelganger in this film, and you basically have to solve the mystery of how this is happening, how essentially two people are exactly identical, and yet they're not related. As both of these people have to deal with their own problems in their own way, and one is hung up with his wife, and one is afraid of commitment. And so they basically have to figure out how they're connected, and well, they basically become one another's enemy. And I think that this movie is so fantastic. I was so blown away by the performance by Jake Gyllenhaal in this film. He really is one of the most underrated actors working today. He's so good, and especially in a film like this, he steals the show. The next movie is a movie that I've talked a little bit on this channel about in the past, and that is the 1980s slasher film Sleepaway Camp. It's very interesting. Every time I talk with friends in my social circle about this film, a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about. They ask, what the heck is Sleepaway Camp? Now, very low budget. It is a B movie, and there are a lot of cheesy things about this film. The acting is horrendous. The effects and gore are pretty lackluster, and the film really lacks any type of true personality away from other slashers of that time. But I love it because there's a charm about this movie. I really don't know what it is, but there's a certain charm that is there that truly draws me into wanting to watch this film every single October. And not only that, but this movie has one of the best twist endings that you will never see coming. The next movie is the 1989 film Little Monsters. Some of you might have heard of the Hulu film Little Monsters, which I do have a review on my channel for. 1989 Little Monsters is completely different. It is a family film. This is about a young boy who discovers that there are monsters living under his bed. He basically becomes best friends with the monster under his bed. The monster is played by Howie Mandel, and the kid is Fred Savage. When I was a kid, I loved this movie. I'd watch it all the time, probably like once or twice a month, just because this film resonated with me a lot and I had a lot of fun. I haven't watched it in a long time, and I hope that that nostalgia is there, but this is a movie that I can remember certain iconic lines from, like that is one of the best lines ever. I still laugh to this day watching that scene, and I truly think Little Monsters is a movie that a lot of families can really enjoy. The next movie on this list, it is a mini-series, but it's like 2 hours long, so I consider it one giant film, and that is Over the Garden Wall. This premiered on Cartoon Network a few years back, and it has the voice talents of Elijah Wood. I really love this series. It has a horror vibe, but it's still not super scary. It's just kind of that creepiness that could kind of keep kids up at night. But then there's like a goofiness to it, and it's very appropriate for this type of demographic that this series is reaching, and I truly love it. I got the pleasure of watching this last year during October, and it was such a great experience. I think it's a great series, and you can have a lot of fun. The next film I want to talk about is a movie from 2018, and it is called The Night Eats the World. This is a French English language film, and it is set in Paris. It is about a zombie outbreak, and this guy wakes up from a party being the only one to not become a zombie, and he has to live in this brand new world by himself. And this really looks at the psychological toll that an apocalypse would have on one person, as they are the only survivor left. And I love that premise. Yes, it's a zombie movie, but it's more than that. It's really about this one person set in the backdrop of an apocalypse that have a bunch of zombies walking around. And honestly, I'm all for it. The movie has this sadness to it because essentially you pick out this one person who never really valued human interaction before, and you put him into this world where now he's the only human left, and he kind of has to figure out how to go about living life by himself, and where he actually misses that human conditioning, that human relationship that he never truly got a chance at having before the apocalypse. It's a really riveting story, and I truly enjoy this film. The next movie is a movie that came out this year, and it has been advertised a lot on Twitter, at least on my end, but this is a film that I feel like not enough people are talking about, and that is Palm Springs. This movie stars Andy Samberg and Christina Milioti. This is a movie that I absolutely loved. I just saw it a couple weeks ago when it premiered on Hulu, and it is a film that is not only funny, but it takes the Groundhog Day aspect and it does something different, something unique. I really like that. I love the concept of the Groundhog Day trope, and it works really well in different settings. And I was very skeptical going in because I knew that this was going to be a comedy. I knew that this movie was going to try to do certain things that allow the film to have the same set of rules as the original Groundhog Day. And it does do that. But it's more than that, because this is a film that at the heart of it has a relationship between two people who are kind of loners. They're people who essentially make mistakes and they're trying to learn from those mistakes, and they're stuck in this situation together. And it's about them coming together and figuring out love and figuring out essentially where to go and move forward in life after mistakes that you have made. And I really think that this movie's a great time. I think that this is one of the best movies of the year, and easily it's a movie that to me stays memorable even with the trope of the Groundhog Day scenario. The next movie is a movie called Swiss Army Man. This movie came out just a few years ago. It stars Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. Daniel Radcliffe plays a dead body in this film, okay? This movie has some really stupid humor. There's fart jokes, there's weird things that happen that truly don't play well to certain people, and I get that, and to other people it works extremely well. I thought I was going to hate this movie after the first 5 minutes as he's riding Daniel Radcliffe's body like a jet ski, as Daniel Radcliffe's body is farting. It's stupid. It's such a stupid film sometimes, but it's very smart. You would think that this stupid humor would just play off as stupid. No. This movie has a point. And I don't want to get too into what the point of this film is, but I think that you should go in understanding full well that this movie is going to feel a little awkward at times. But if you look at the true root of this movie, you look at the true premise and why they're using these kind of stupid references to essentially move the narrative forward, it makes a lot of sense. And this is a movie that I need to go back and review it again because I absolutely loved it the first time I saw it, and I haven't watched it since. And also, by the way, this is Daniel Radcliffe's best performance. Let that sink in. The next film is a 1980 slasher, Prom Night. Not to be confused with the 2000s film Prom Night, which was also a slasher, which was like a remake, but not really, because essentially it's completely different from the original. The original film stars Jamie Lee Curtis. To me, this movie's not as good as Halloween, especially Jamie Lee Curtis's performance. And this movie does have some romanticism in terms of the way it's lit, but this movie works extremely well because this movie doesn't play as just a slasher. This is a true crime mystery film because you have no idea who the killer is in this movie. There's a lot of subtle context that this movie kind of lays out that you have to solve for yourself. It's very simple in the way that it tells its story, but at the same time, the movie is truly different than a lot of other slashers in this era because it doesn't just go for the hack and slash. And I remember watching this film for the first time and I was like, is it that person? Is it this person? Is it that person? And I came to the conclusion at 15 minutes before they revealed the killer who it was going to be, but I was still surprised. Now, I will say the only thing that I don't like about this movie is the way it wraps up, because after you find out who the killer is, the movie just kind of ends. It doesn't really give you that payoff that you want. The next movie is Beautiful Boy. This movie premiered on Amazon. It's an Amazon original film, and it stars Timothée Chalamet and Steve Carell. I really enjoyed this movie. This is a dark movie because this is a movie about Steve Carell's character who has to figure out a way to help his son who is struggling with drug addiction. And it's based on a true story. And the dynamic between the father and the son in this film is so real because this father will go to every extreme to try to make his son a better person, try to make his son clean and come off drugs, and also help his son along the way as he's trying to get his life back on track. It's very heartbreaking at times because there are moments where both of these characters are arguing and you understand where both of them are coming from. Timothée Chalamet deserved not only a nomination for his performance in Best Supporting Actor category in 2018, he deserved the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I love Mahershala Ali. He was great in Green Book, but Timothée Chalamet's performance was the best of the year for me, and it's very sad that he did not get any Oscar love at all. And the last movie is a film called Summer of '84. This is a movie that came out a couple years ago, I believe, and it's a Shudder exclusive film. So if you have the Shudder service, which I definitely recommend you get if you're a horror fan, you can watch this movie there. This is a film about a young boy in the 80s who believes his neighbor is a murderer. It's a great premise to a film, and we've seen it before. It's a lot like Disturbia, the movie with Shia LaBeouf that came out like years ago. But this movie is better than Disturbia because the entire time, this kid is trying to investigate this one person as being a murderer. The entire neighborhood supports this guy because he's a cop. They think that he is safe. They know him. He's lived in the neighborhood forever. And there's no way that somebody like this could be who this kid says he is. This is a movie that has great tension and great suspense. And I feel like the kids in this film, they work extremely well. They have great chemistry. They felt real. They felt like true kids from this time. I love this in my slashers. Having a little bit of that criminal investigation is so great and so tangible for a film that relies heavily on suspense because it allows it to be a little bit more subtle and it gives the audience an opportunity to figure out the actual problem along with the characters. So this is my list of 10 movies that you never knew existed. Let me know down below other movies that I missed that no one else has heard of. Also, let me know down below if you've seen any of these movies, and if you want to give some input on those films, that would be amazing. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay healthy.